One dash in a template, one step past the doormat, and accounting turned into a map where "yeah, sure" sounded louder than a siren. A casual witness. Slushy March in Chicago makes no distinction between people and machines. Both move slowly, trying not to slip on a mix of salt, snow, and yesterday's coffee dried into a stain by the curb. The Jewel Osco lot on Clark Street, its lines worn down to gray bands. In the bag, Wonder Bread, Prairie Farms 2% milk, Campbell's tomato soup, Duracell AA batteries. Linda Kovach carries 2 light bags, thinking about the doormat by the door that shifted half an inch since morning. Some things shouldn't sit at an angle. At the light, she waits for green, while a man in a dark coat, phone pressed to his ear, crosses in front of her, not hurrying, not slowing. Midway, a wallet slips from his inner pocket. The fall is silent, as if objects had manners. The man doesn't turn around, phone pinned with shoulder, hand in pocket, stride even and sure. The wallet lies across a white stripe, soaking up pavement water. Linda steps forward and picks it up. Her glove rustles against the wet leather, cold seeps in, not painful, just acknowledged. The light changes, cars edge forward, someone leans from a window, says sorry, gestures her across. She looks, the man's gone, dissolved into the crowd like a letter in smudged print. On the sidewalk, she opens it. Inside, 4 $20 bills, 2017 series, folded once, a business card, City Children's Hope, 300 GSM stock, blue Pantone 2925C logo, a Walgreens receipt for aspirin and Trident gum dated yesterday, a couple of small checks and a photo, kids in puffy hats holding cardboard boxes tied with ribbon. No IDs. Linda thumbs through the bills, counting automatically like she counts lines in a ledger. 3, 4, 5. A tangible sum, not loud. A metallic taste appears in her mouth, sudden as if the alley air were older than her decision. She closes the wallet and makes 2 steps aside under the cafe awning, where steam mixes with the smell of cinnamon. Inside, someone laughs. The barista says, no milk, and that melts the boundary between other people's business and her own thought. Linda imagines the short, proper dialogue. Found it empty, figured I'd turn it in. Yeah, thank you. In her head, the words stack neatly like paper piles on her desk. The money in her jacket pocket, between lining and fabric, feels less like weight and more like dimension. Height, width, thickness. She leaves the wallet on a bench by the bus stop, face down, squared with the slats. Easy to find by anyone. Adjusting her bags higher on her arm to spare her wrist, she notes small things on the way home. The crumbs in the bakery tray lying evenly, the cobbler's display boot turned south by its pair, a single broken pixel blinking on the bus sign. Each thing in its place, calming. Where space is empty, something wants to belong. At home, she kicks off her shoes on the mat, brushes the pile against the grain. Groceries in 2 moves, fridge for cold, cabinet for dry. She counts the cash again, the numbers match, satisfying. The jar marked washer is empty, the glass rings when she sets it down. The bills vanish between the inner pocket and stitching habit storage, just in case. The TV mutters about unsettled weather and city initiatives. The anchor says the charity season never really ends, it just changes its hat. That night, Linda dreams there's something on her doorstep, not a letter, but some forgotten belonging, like a newspaper still delivered out of inertia. The door's ajar, streetlight falling in stripes. The dream has no morality, only procedure. Pick up, place, record. In the morning, the kettle hums louder than usual. She straightens the mat until its edges align with the floor tile seams. Model, IKEA Kristrup, gray, 35x55 cm. 3 adjustments until perfect. She double locks the door, checks the latch twice. Outside, slush again. The city begins its day of yeah, and that's that, which is usually enough. Today, probably 2. In the accounting office of North Branch Logistics, it's warm from an HP LaserJet Pro M400 4DN that's been printing half an inch off center since 2018. The air smells of toner and blue Pendaflex folders. Gray ran out last quarter. Linda arrives 10 minutes early, switches on the lamp, sets her mug precisely in the coaster ring so it leaves no partial moons on the desk. Trays on the left, stapler safely from the edge, calendar turned so March doesn't peek into April. She opens email, invoices, reconciliations, a tidy good morning from Carla, no emojis. The task list shows mortgage due in 5 days. Numbers stay calm until you add them. At lunch, Carla plays the local news on the shared screen, background noise to cover the AC. The anchor reports City Children's Hope, organizer lost cash raised for orphans, gifts, passerby found an empty wallet, city sympathizes, donations surge. Carla lifts a fork over a Cobb salad, dressing on the side. Yeah, poor guy, she says. Uh-huh, says Linda, sips water, hoping it dims the voice behind the glass. On screen, children hold boxes carefully, as if afraid to drop someone's expectations. After lunch, Linda opens the charity's site. Simple layout, blue logo, last year's reports, PDFs neater than most words. She fills the anonymous donation form, enters an amount equal to what's in the washer jar. In comments, she types for gifts, no commas, clean text, clicks send. The thank you page shows a transaction ID, digits tidy as stitches along a collar. Her online bank looks emptier. The mortgage looms closer like an object pulled toward the camera. A red cell appears in expenses, not blood, just mismatch. She drafts a spreadsheet, advance, utilities, food, transport, ends with a minus, small but stubborn, turns off the screen so the color can't accuse her, walks to the kitchen. Microwave glow, even rectangle, window with no view. Campbell's chicken noodle 200 on a Kenmore, 2 soft beeps. Spoon left of bowl, napkin at 45. At 3, the boss, Mr. Hampton, meets visitors from investor relations. Door ajar, glimpse of a polished shoe toe. An hour later, an email, audit rescheduled for coming days, prepare exports. There, says Carla, eyes on her spreadsheet. Yeah, says Linda. In her head, folders shuffle, reconciliations, balances, transfers. Yesterday's clear flow now looks shallow. That evening, she opens the petty cash register, sees an empty line under code 47B, temporary bridge, she thinks. Day or two, repay before audit. She knows how. Memo citing delay of supplier refund, invoice dated ahead, note in operation card. Not a scam, a step stool to reach the top shelf. The cursor blinks like a buoy in shallow water. She enters the sum that closes the mortgage gap, adds a plain comment. Confirmation required twice. She confirms twice. The screen says successful. The AC hum reminds her of money rustle, not by sound, but by flow. Linda prints the memo, files the PDF, folders it under procedures, then wipes the desk edge with a tissue, the dust only she can see. Later at home, she checks the doormat's alignment, moves the empty jar that clinks when nudged. The TV murmurs about frost and fresh charity drives, the narrator thanking those who care. Linda turns the volume low until the words sound like rain, uniform, safe. In bed, she counts days till audit, fewer than needed. She flips her pillow to the cool side, murmurs aha into the dark, enough to not fall asleep right away. Auditors arrive without theatrics, like elevator maintenance. 2 of them gray suits, slim folders, identical blue ink pens. They introduce themselves softly, eyes never lingering, politeness like a pair of gloves. If it's not too much, please prep operation cards for code 47B and adjacent, says the first, the conference room AC adding white noise to every syllable. Uh-huh, says Linda, laying out clear sleeves like cutlery for place settings. Prints smudge the glass tabletop. She fights the urge to wipe them. Numbers go first. The rest compresses into one working paragraph. They want 47B dumps, access logs, diff logs of edits, draft invoices, threads with supplier return and help desk. They ask for the rationale behind yesterday's movement, access to outgoing mail for 7 days with keywords return, rationale, invoice. They note a vanished timestamp icon beside the operation description and ask why the counterparty card reads, Supply Return LLC with a dash. Linda answers point by point, refund delay, documents en route, auto replace in new template. They nod short, mark dates, stack pages with matched corners, enough for procedure, not for peace. Beyond the glass, the office behaves as usual, a quiet oops, excuse me from someone squeezing by, a case of paper being hauled, a door held with an thanks. Procedures thicken the air so choices sink slowly. Linda opens the change log, clicks description correction, sees yesterday's time, IP, before-after fields, polite prints in wet snow. By noon, investor relations circulates a neutral note, audit moving to an extended phase. A coffee cart rolls in, caribou cups in 6 packs, stirs in a wash hands tumbler nobody uses. The first auditor looks out at gray curb ice, spring-s coming. Yeah, says Linda, eyes on printouts. His smile is kind but useless, like a fragile sticker on a steel crate. At lunch, Linda cuts through the Starbucks at Clark and Monroe, not for coffee, just the shortcut to the pharmacy. At the counter, a man in a dark coat orders a grand cappuccino, extra foam. Linda takes a Pike Place, black, no sugar. Chilly one, huh, he says, not looking at her. March. They say spring will show. Pause, I don't trust forecasts. Forecasts, they're about numbers. Numbers don't lie, but they don't tell the truth either. He smiles. You work with numbers. Accountant. Oh, respect, I do people harder. People, yeah, harder to account for. Barista sets the cups, says, have a good one. The man leaves first, phone to ear. Linda watches, not recognizing, just noting the coat's quality. The talk wasn't about weather, about what, unclear. After lunch, another request, provide every draft copy of the invoice, including deletions. It will restore them. There will be draft 1 dated today and draft 2 dated tomorrow. Enough for process. For interpretation, looks like intention. Linda opens the drafts folder, reads file names like her own handwriting on a stranger's sheet. Inside, all tidy. Outside, as if someone straightened a line no one asked to touch. Toward evening, a note from security agent Thomas R. Smith. Please appear tomorrow at 09:30 to clarify procedural points. 3 acronyms anchor his signature, all equally impersonal. Carla leans in, sets a jar of paperclips at the desk's edge, whispers, don't stress, okay, just formalities. Yeah, says Linda, aligning her print stack till margins sit flush. Beyond the glass, the office dims evenly, like water stilled in a cup. Morning starts with it. Per audit request, deep change logging enabled, please confirm. Linda replies received, adds a period, another, deletes it. Calendar blinks a 09:30 meeting with security Thomas R. Smith, part line part voice, sounds like he's quoting excerpts even when saying good morning. Please bring 47B printouts and the supply return LLC card, he writes separately. Linda pulls the folders, squares edges, checks each clip's angle. If everything has a place, something can be endured. In the room, the agent sits opposite, nudges the water cup 2 inches away as if measuring personal space. Let's review chronology. Yesterday you adjusted the operation description and created an invoice draft dated tomorrow. Says Linda. All right, he nods. Now one more layer. He turns a printout of logs, timelines, IPs, before-after fields. One entry's edit time overlaps with an anonymous help desk comment Linda sent from the shared inbox asking to expedite a return. Technically separate actions, on paper, one smooth blot. Clarify why the counterparty file name has a dash instead of a space, he asks. Linda looks closely. Supply return LLC profile PDF. Auto replace, the template was swapped recently. The new format uses dashes, before spaces. Minor, but search filters miss the new profile under the old name, making the counterparty operation link look soft to auditors. Auto replace, says Linda. Understood, says the agent, face unchanged. Carla brings a fresh paper log stack. Between pages sits a blue-on-white visitor register. Yesterday, a Brightship courier entered, picked up an envelope for S return. S as in supply, but the handwritten floor number matches the office upstairs, not theirs. The courier high-vis 3M vest, wrist tattoo of a Chinese character he believes means speed, but actually chicken soup. Ordinary mix-up, yet with S return, reads like a tucked track. Probably the courier missed a floor, says Carla from the doorway. Yeah, says the agent, clipping that sheet. Later, IT sends a diff of the operation card. The timestamp icon vanished on the last edit. Not the record, the tiny clock glyph beside the field. Casual eyes miss it, auditors don't. Linda remembers when she rewrapped the text, she carried the label to a new line and the interface swallowed the icon. Technical effect, she says. Consequences, procedural, says the agent, the phrase landing like a furniture verdict. On the way home, Linda passes the same Starbucks. At the window, the man in the coat, a MacBook open, blue-celled Excel. He sees her through glass, nods, gestures to a chair. She enters, not out of courtesy, curiosity. Oh, we meet again, he smiles. March is stubborn. I'm reconciling reports, a charity. Numbers are like kids, finicky. She studies the screen, donations row 2 round, expenses smeared categories. Kids need raising, she says evenly. I try, sure. The pause is long, as if a figure stood between them. Linda rises. Good luck with the reports. Thanks, you too. Outside, she feels she spoke to a mirror. He pulled numbers one way, she the other. Both believed they were right, both were wrong, not in arithmetic. By evening, another polite request, every draft including deletions, it will restore. That means draft 1 with today's date and draft 2 with tomorrow's, enough for process, for meaning intentional shift. The agent phrases it gently, we need clarity, Linda. Yeah, she says, sliding a ruler on her desk to perfect parallel. At home, to distract herself, she squares books on an IKEA Billy. 2 Stephen King's GAAP 2023, 3 paperbacks, removes one, straightens spines, returns it. The window hum matches the conference room vent, the cafe next door's exhaust fan. A news alert pops, the charity logo, a headline about a new wave of kindness. She kills the screen, sets the kettle, adjusts the doormat so the corner hits the grout seam. When everything is straight, it's audible how time takes a step, and unsettling that this too is a log. She says quietly, enough to accept it won't get quieter. The day opens with a polite press office memo. Local TV crews in the lobby today, please keep it professional, thanks. Logo at the bottom, neutral as a plastic cup. The front desk screen plays a segment, the charity's blue logo, anchor Jennifer Ortega of Channel 7 News framed by Amazon Prime boxes with blue ribbons. The ticker reads, Donations Surge for Hope Fund Organizer. Clip from an interview, a man in a dark coat speaks softly, tiredly, pauses, looks down, lifts his eyes just enough for the camera to catch remorse. Yeah, tough, but kindness wins, he says, words arranged into a trademark. Linda passes, holding her breath between mourning and In security's office, 2 stacks, internal procedures and external comms. Thomas R. Smith speaks in instruction voice. We'll need further explanation on drafts, Linda, and the anonymous help desk messages. Understandable as concern, procedurally not right. He smiles, the smile reserved for people who are no longer clients but haven't left yet. By noon, an external check posts into the system. City Children's Hope had 2 complaints last year for collections without proper reporting. The phrasing is soft, attention noted, review ongoing. News doesn't mention that. The front desk screen shows volunteers in knit caps sorting gifts. Carla hands Linda a printout. See, odd, complaints exist, but the segment feels rehearsed. There, says Linda, not taking the page. In the hall, a man in a gray blazer PR pin stops her. If possible, avoid comments, okay? Just say questions to PR. That's it. Says Linda. Politeness thickens. The office chat lights up. Catch the segment. Cute kids. World's got good people. No channel for last year's complaints. Afternoon, the agent lists required artifacts. All draft versions, login logs, threads with supplier return and help desk. Ends with no legal representation for now. That for now sounds like a hairline crack only some can see. Linda gathers folders, numbers, labels. In one email, a stray typo, return for return. A pinhole where interpretation wins whistle nicely. By the elevator, 2 coworkers murmur. Here PD stopped by. Yeah, asked about files. Files? Procedures, you know. Doors close. Linda's left with her reflection on the steel panel. Tidy part, gray cardigan, hands more practiced with rulers than people. Outside, the air smells like wet cardboard. At the curb, a trucker squints into the wind, swears politely. Excuse me, blocked the lane. Linda goes to buy document mailers, sees at the register a UNICEF jar, 3 2009 pennies on the bottom, 2 $1 bills folded into triangles, a Jewel Osco receipt. The cashier, a woman who lines up tip jars by sight, says, caught the piece, yeah, breaks the heart. Says Linda. She drops a coin, a gesture like straightening a mat. It changes nothing, only aligns. Back at her desk, she finds an unmarked envelope. Inside, a photocopy of a 2-year-old article, collections in question. Phrases underlined, no reports found, organizer unavailable. The Xerox toner is fading, letters pale like a hint nobody hears. No signature, no note, not evidence, a draft. Linda brings it to the agent. He nods, we'll attach it, procedures long, fact unestablished. Words like grit that doesn't feed. Near close, a fresh PR blast. Thanks all for your decorum. The company supports good deeds, okay, comments through us, no word of complaints. Reception runs the segment again. The man thanks the city, pauses, looks down. The donation ticker flows like a tap got opened somewhere. Home Linda stacks papers by height, wipes the table, sets the kettle. Heat rises, meeting the windows cold, yielding a bearable middle. Her phone lights, thank you for your contribution. Another copy follows, a bounce from earlier, boomeranged by the mail system. She sets the phone face down. The doormat pile lies against the grain as it should. Kettle warmth fogs the glass and vanishes. Order is a trace that melts. Yeah, she says, and kills the kitchen light so the noise turns to background, not meaning. The morning pings, access control, security attended meeting at 10:00. Polite phrasing like a coffee invite with a tiny attendance required line below. Linda centers her mug on the coaster, squares the procedures folder, checks all prints face up in clear sleeves. Whispering in the corridor, yeah, legal's here. Formalities, the word that soothes those not in the room. At the entry turnstile, the guard kid named Kyle, the type who says oops, excuse me to Roomba's skids on wet rubber by the arch. The mat, a black safety first ribbed pad, is drowned in brown slush from a drop Dunkin' Donuts large, lid half popped, straw up like an antenna. Underfoot everything slides. Kyle grabs the counter edge, a Rubbermaid card of Xerox paper, 500 sheets, 20 lb rolls past. A wheel clips his shin, he loses footing, his head hits the Boone Edom turnstile corner. The last thing he says, small, reflexive, is oops, excuse me, to the cart. The cart doesn't reply. His brow tears, blood starts right away. 10 minutes to Mercy Hospital, 15 not, the log will read. Workplace accident, safety first mat did not prevent its own promise. At 10:00, Linda sits across from Agent Thomas R. Smith and the company lawyer, a woman with a voice that won't bend for softness. Explain the date shift logic, the lawyer says. Temporary liquidity bridge, repaid before review, says Linda. All right, the agent nods, but the missing timestamp icon and 2 draft versions produce an appearance of intent. Linda answers, folding her hands so they don't straighten the table edge. Politeness here is linoleum, covers concrete, doesn't soften it. Reception runs the wounded organizer segment again. People need distraction. The bright chip courier, 23 3M vest, the same speed chicken soup tattoo, carries a legal packet to the neighboring office. Address, Suite 402, should be 420, 2 digits, lottery odds. A Cisco truck blocks the view as it swings. The courier, rushing, dashes across the lane, slips on Amazon Prime box cardboard inside, a knife set nobody ordered. He falls under the trailer's corner. Brake scream, Bendix ADB 22X, fully functional. Physics isn't polite. The police report will read on duty traffic incident. The envelope will be found an hour later, sealed as if delivered. Inside, documents for the Kovach matter. By noon, externals email, action preliminarily qualified as abuse of access, referred to law enforcement. It ends with thank you for your cooperation, politeness as a stamp. Carla peeks in, sets an apple down. She always eats 3/4 and stops. Hang in there, yeah. Says Linda. The apple remains whole enough to feel superstitious. In Agent Smith's office sit 2 police officers. Not rude, not sharp, the kind who say if it's not too much. Linda Kovach, please come with us, we need to clarify a few points. She says. The hallway is short, longer if counting one's own steps. In the room, they inventory a laptop, printouts, a flash drive. The lawyer reads the consent formula softly, a tone built to rock resistance to sleep. Confirm, confirm. The pen scratches like a mouse behind drywall. Between the second and third signature, a corporate chat alert. The company extends condolences to the guard's family. Information on a support fund to follow. The words assemble properly. Inside, they assemble nothing. Thomas R. Smith ends evenly. This isn't about you as a person, Linda. It's about procedures. She nods. Procedures are fine teeth in a gear. When they mesh, the machine runs. When a tooth shears, the machine still runs. The motion is just different. On the way out, Linda stops at the doormat by the glass door and without touching, watches the pile lying against the grain. The pause stretches like a thin rubber band ready to snap. Yeah, she tells the air. Outside, cold. A bus snorts like a tired animal. She walks, folder hugged tight, hearing 2 news crawls along the street. Good people, procedural violations. Between them, irreparable small things. A dash instead of a space, a shifted date, wet rubber by a gate, 402 for 420. Small things have no intentions. Intentions appear later in documents. Officers Martinez and O'Brien, 12th District, say if it's not too much, offer coffee from a Contigo thermos. She declines politely, the day's only refusal that needs no signature. Cook County Circuit Court, room 304, small like a conference room. A carrier unit hums in C-sharp. The air smells of paper and rubber soles. The judge speaks low and sparing, as if reading ingredients, dates, amounts, access logs, 2 drafts, the missing icon. The prosecutor holds a folder level like a bubble gauge, lists facts without adjectives. The defense doesn't fight numbers, asks for liquidity circumstances and temporary intent, words from the protocol's margins. Yeah, says the judge, and each yeah drops a gate on another attempt to explain. Linda sits straight, hands on knees, like at an interview where the decision's not made. On the table, a thin folder, Kavach L inside, printouts she no longer trusts because they live their own lives. Security Agent Thomas R. Smith testifies evenly, softly. We documented procedural mismatches. We do not assess motive. We followed the policy. He speaks like he writes, short, in a line, no side notes. The dead guard flickers as a single-line item, unrelated incident, condolences sent. The Courier 2, traffic accident, review closed. Documents gently separate what, on the floor of life, a line to the millimeter. Court press politely requests no face shots. Outside, 2 cameras film shoes and shoulders anyway. It is reported that Linda Kay is charged with abuse of access and falsification, says a girl in a puffer, adding that the city keeps supporting the organizer who suffered from a recent cash theft. No malice, only a practiced warmth switched on where "we're in this together" should be. The ruling is phrased like whether, find guilty under count, impose, consider cooperation, words lay like tiles nobody checks with a level after. Formally, clarity, penalty set, process complete. Informally, a rattle that clarity is just whatever the ceiling lamp sees. Linda looks at the table edge, a nick her hand finds every time. She doesn't touch it. In the corridor, smelling of dust and damp coats, Linda hears Thomas R. Smith with a clerk who mutes his voice before periods. The template auto-replace is still in place. Dash for space. Yeah, and the timestamp icon still vanishes when you rewrap the line. That's right. Find the help desk email. Filed to 2023 instead of 2025. Date filter. Will attach to Appendix D. Yeah, D's at 17 pages. That's that. They talk without emotion. Meaning skates the surface like water on lacquer. Small things move heavy objects just without noise. The clerk straightens a folder. Linda sees 47B on the spine in marker. The letters are plain, asking nothing. On the steps outside, Carla holds a paper cup and an apple, 3/4 eaten, as always, no more. Hang in, she says softly. Yeah, says Linda. A siren flips on in the distance, not for her, not for now, just the city pretending to hurry. The charity's blue logo flashes on a passerby's phone, headline, "Another wave of kindness. Repetition helps someone." Linda goes home by the route with fewer lights. Inside, shoes off, toes parallel, the mat squared to the jamb. She lays the envelope of rulings on the table, a pen on top to keep them from sliding. The TV mumbles about changeable weather and a new season of discounts. She shuts it off, hears the whisper in the radiators, sets the kettle, watches the steam hit the glass, leave a warm trace, disappear. Order is a trace that melts. A day later, an email arrives. Transfer of materials completed. Clean font, attachments listed. At the bottom, archive, case no, folder no. The folder will remain. Inside, a dash for a space, a shifted date, 2 drafts, a missing icon. Thanks for your cooperation. Politeness as the final clip. On the kitchen shelf, a hand-width gap where the ball mason jar, 16 Oz, labeled washer, used to stand. The phone blinks, corporate templates updated, auto-replace dashes disabled. The email is dated yesterday. There, says Linda, in the city, someone drops a wallet at Clark and Monroe. Someone picks it up. The archive expands, case 47B stamped, closed, the space for the next already taped off.